Well, let's move on to other news now. And the Israeli army has released a video showing strikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon as fears of an all-out war grow. The U.S. aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln entered West Asia waters as tensions remain high over Iran's threat to retaliate against Israel. This as U.S. President Joe Biden pushed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a ceasefire deal with Hamas in Gaza. Biden also updated Netanyahu on U.S. efforts to support Israel's defense against threats from Iran and its proxy groups. The White House said the U.S. President stressed the urgency of reaching a deal during the call. Vice President Kamala Harris also took part in this call that came hours after the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrapped up his West Asia tour. Meanwhile, Israel released a video showing what they said were airstrikes in Lebanon. The Israeli army said that it targeted Hezbollah military structures in response to a rocket attack. The attacks came after Hezbollah said it had fired Katyusha rockets at an Israeli military logistics site in Golan Heights. It also fired a swarm of drones on military posts in northern Israel, about 22 kilometers from the Lebanese border, in retaliation to earlier Israeli airstrikes in Bekaa. Now, the U.S. Central Command said that a second U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, arrived in West Asia. The carrier, equipped with F-35 fighter jets, added to the U.S. ships already in the region, including the USS Theodore Roosevelt aircraft carrier, which arrived in mid-July. On the diplomatic front, negotiators are heading back to Cairo this week to try and iron out details of a deal. Israel is reportedly now on board, but Hamas has said in public statements that it will not accept the pact. Netanyahu, who visited an Air Force base in northern Israel, said that Israel is prepared for any scenario, both in defense and in offense.
I am here at the Air Force Base to closely monitor our preparations against threats both near and far. We are prepared for any scenario, both in defense and attack.
Now, the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant traveled to the Gaza Strip to assess a military operation that resulted in what he says was the defeat of the Rafah Brigade and the destruction of over 150 tunnels. Meanwhile, Gazans are again on the run as they are fleeing the western area of Khan Yunis after an Israeli evacuation order once again.
Death is more merciful in this country. We were displaced 20 times. I swear to God our houses and tents were struck. They do not want us to live. Oh God, they even do not want us to enjoy our life.
Gaza Civil Emergency Service claimed that Israeli military struck a school and a nearby house in Gaza City on Wednesday, killing at least 3 people and wounding 15. Palestinian health officials have claimed that Israeli airstrikes across Gaza killed at least 50 Palestinians in the past 24 hours. And well, for the very latest on what's happening as far as the negotiations are concerned in West Asia, as well as what Israel has to say about its offensive in Gaza Strip, our correspondent Jody Cohen has more.
With talks for a hostage release truce proposal resuming on Thursday, US President Biden and Vice President Harris spoke on the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, stressing the urgency of finalizing a deal. Meanwhile, Hamas won't attend the talks, and Arab mediators are reportedly pressing Hamas to accept the bridging proposal, which has been accepted by Israel. According to the White House readout of the call, Biden, Harris and Netanyahu also discussed US efforts to support Israel's defense against, quote, all threats from Iran, including its proxy terror groups Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis. Meanwhile, the US military also said that the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier and accompanying destroyers have arrived in West Asia. And Israel's Security Cabinet is meeting on Thursday as efforts continue but appear to falter on reaching a deal with Hamas. And as Israel remains on high alert for a potential major strike by Iran and Hezbollah. This is Jody Cohen for WION World is One.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.